Hi everyone. Today Salesforce Lightning Day 19. So we'll see quickly what are we going to learn today. We'll go through the previous session overview and we'll talk about multiple components, how to create a multiple dynamic components or a nested lightning components. And we'll take a requirement and we'll implement a requirement for the multiple components or a nested lightning component. And then we'll have a quiz. We'll have a quiz and the assignment. Then we'll talk about destroy. So whenever we are creating a component dynamically, if we wanted to destroy it, so how can we destroy the component on fly? And we'll see one of the requirement and we'll give the assignment quiz related to the destroy component, then conclusion. And today's interview questions. So quickly, so what did we learn in the last class?
Dynamic component, create component,
iterations,
Iteration,
Dynamics, creating the dynamic.
aura iteration,
creating dynamic component. Right. So let's see. So far yesterday, whatever we have understood about the single component. So we have a component here. So this component, on this component, we are implementing a button. We are implementing a button, and on click of this button, we are writing the HTML component in JavaScript. We are writing HTML component in JavaScript. So during the runtime, whenever the user click on this button, whenever user click on this particular button, it will go to the JavaScript, that particular method. Inside that method, there is a command or the method which is written as a $a.create component. So that means it is going to create a component during the runtime. And it will pass once the implementation is done here. So what it does, it will pass the data to the, what are the HTML, final HTML component is there, it will pass it to the lightning component. It will stay in the expression called curly braces exclamation v.body. This is what we have seen, right? Yes, we'll talk about the force colon record form. Did anybody try the force colon record form? Yesterday's assignment. We'll take that at the end of the session. So this is what we have seen in the creating a single component. Now today we are going to create it. So far we are created only one button. For example, right now I wanted on click of this button, I wanted to create a button as well as the two input fields. Here I wanted to create a button, input field, two input field, input 1 and input 2. So these three components I wanted to create it during the runtime. Now the question here is, do I really need a button here? Without button, can I run this component? That means so far whatever we have seen is, when I click on a button, then my method gets executed. In case I do not want any button here, I do not want any button. Simply whenever the component is loaded, I wanted to run this create component. So how can we do that?
init method,
Aura handler init. So directly I can, instead of a button, I can directly execute that Aura handler init method And during the init method, we call the do init method here. So in the do init, we can write this $a.create component. That is, we can do it without the button also. Right now, our requirement is we have a button. One button is there on the component. When I click on this button, there are three components should be created during the runtime. So this is if we wanted to implement this kind of a tags or this kind of a component, that means I need a multiple components to be created during the runtime instead of a one component. So in that case, what we will do is we will go with the $a.create components. We go with $a.create components. So $a.create components, we use it if I wanted to create a multiple lightning component during the runtime using the JavaScript. Then we use the $a.create components. The parameters are same. It has a type and then attribute and the function callback. So what is the type here? Yesterday we have seen what is the type here?
Defines the component, whether it may be button or
String,
card.
Button or record.
string button, lightning button.
So it is a type of the component. Which type of the component are we creating it? Whether it is a button or an input. And what about attributes?
Attributes of the particular type.
Object, include local ID is object.
So attributes are what are the attributes we are placing here, which are related to the type of component and which will be placed as a inside the object JSON structure. And then callback, once this is implemented, we are going to check in the callback. In the first parameter in the callback, this is just a component is created, whether the component is created or not. So whatever the component is created, that stores into the CMP. In case if the component is not created, CMP equal to null. And the status is whether final successfully created the lightning component or not. Error message, it will throw, and if there are any error messages, we can capture from the error message. So everything is same. Only the difference is if you are going with the multiple, you have to use the $a.create components. If you are going with a single component, then you have to use the $a.create component. So this is the requirement. So on click of the button 1, it should create a button 2, input field 1, input field 2, right? So these three I wanted to create it on during the runtime. So let's go ahead and implement that. Now let me create a new component, lightning component, LC underscore create components. Click on submit. Now what do I need here?
One button.
Button.
One button.
Lightning card.
column.
Card.
Lightning card. So let's give a title. Dynamic. And within this,
Lightning button.
Lightning column button.
label equal,
Label equals to
let's say, create runtime components.
next on click.
On click,
Dollar dot sheet.
handle create buttons. Create components.
Variant.
Let's take a by default one. Okay. Is there any other thing that I need to place it in the
Variant.
variant? Okay. Let's take the variant. Okay. Any other thing that I need to place it on the HTML component,
Uh,
or am I done?
we have to initialize after we have to
We have to, what we have to initialize it here?
variable like it's a v dot body.
Expression. Curly
Yeah.
braces exclamation
Curly
v
brace.
dot body. Perfect. Now let's go to the controller. In the controller, component is, this is our function name, and then $a dot
$a dot
Create
create components.
create component.
within the components. What are the attributes?
Type
Type.
button
Attribute.
type attribute
Attribute. Call by.
function call. Type is lightning button.
Okay. So here the declaration is little bit different compared to the single one. So for single one, what we have done is we have directly declared it. We have directly declared like a lightning button if I wanted to create it. So what we used to say directly within the $a dot. So let me write here. So if it is a single component, create component. Then we used to write here lightning colon button. And then within this, we are going to write the attribute. So let's say label equal to new button. Comma variant. Okay, success. So this is how we used to declare it, and after that we have a function callback. Function callback in this CMP status error message.
In that on click you miss
Sorry.
variant down.
So this is how we used to do it for the single component declaration. Now, that means I have an open bracket here. Within this open bracket, I used to mention the type and I used to mention the attributes. And then we have a callback. This is the format for the single component. Whereas multiple, when we are going with the multiple, the format will be little different. So you have again the square brackets, open square brackets and close square brackets within the open here. And again, within this, we have a separate, that means these, for example, right now we are defining the three components. One is the button, another one is a lightning input, another one is another lightning input. So we have to specify whatever we are writing here, we have to specify within the square brackets. Within the square brackets. So within the square brackets, we have to mention what type of a button, what type of a component, and then what is the attribute. What is the attribute? So this is one. Again, another one will have a type, and then attributes. This is the second one, which is the input. And the third one, again, we have to write it in the square brackets, type, attributes. So how many, whatever the requirement says, if we are going with the more than one lightning component tag, then we have to mention within the square brackets. Mention within the square brackets. So this is the first one, this is the second one, this is the third one. Everything sits into the, again, within this square brackets. Again, within this square brackets. Now, once this is done, then finally we'll have a function callback. Function callback. So in the function, same thing, CMP status error message. Now here directly, we do not have any square brackets here. When we are declaring the type attribute, we do not have any square brackets. Whereas in the multiple components, we have a square brackets because we are grouping them. When we are grouping them, each component, I have to separately mention within the square brackets, type and their attributes, type and their attributes. Again, all these types, what are the component that we have mentioned, we have to specify within the parent group, which is called as a square. This is how the declaration will be there in multiple components. So that means if I'm going with $a.create components, then within this I have one parent square brackets. Again, within this we have a shared components. How many we have? 3 are there. Now here I'm going to specify the one which I wanted to implement, that is lightning column button. And then we have to specify the attributes. So label column new button. This is one. And then second one is I need a lightning input. So lightning colon input. And the attributes are, so let's take a label column name. This is the second one. So this is the first one, this is the second one. And the third one, again, we need one more attribute, one more lightning component here, which is a lightning colon, another input. And within this, we have attributes. So let's say label equal to label colon number. So this is the first one, which is inside this. And this is the second one, which is here. And this is the third one. So this is the third one. Again, we have a perfect. So this is how we will be writing it. After this, we'll have a normal function callback. CMP status, comma, error message. Perfect. Any questions on this? Is anybody not clear? So this is how we will be writing it. Type attributes in one group, and then finally we'll have a function callback. Now let's go ahead and implement that. Now here, type. So first of all, I need to have a one square brackets. Within this, how many I wanted to declare? 3 of them I wanted to declare. And then this is the final one. So once the final one is done, then we have a function callback. We have function callback. So in the function callback, we have a CMP status error message. So let's go ahead and declare it. So the first one is a lightning button. Lightning colon button, comma, and their attributes. Label equal to label colon. Let's say dynamic button. And variant. Let's take success. Now this is the first one. And next one is we are going to create it lightning input. Lightning colon input. And their attributes. Label colon employee name. Employee name. And another attribute, which is another lightning input. Let's say employee number. Perfect. So this is what it is.
We need to check the status. If it is success, we have to push the component.
Right. So if it is a success, we have to check status here. If status equal to If it is a successfully implemented that, then we wanted to store the data back to this body. Now for that, we need to get the body first. So where b equal to
Component
dot
get
Get v
v dot
v dot body.
V dot
body.
v dot body. Now once it is done,
B dot push component.
push
V dot push component equal.
b dot push,
CMP.
have written it for the single component. If it is a single lightning tag which we are implementing it, we can directly do the b dot push. But here we have a multiple. Now when I say b dot push for the yesterday's one when we did it, so let's take here. So we have directly placed it here because we were having only one. We were having only one. That means this component has a single lightning component. But in our case, this one has an array. We have implemented an object here. We have implemented an object. That means CMP is containing the list of components. CMP is containing the list of components. That means each one of them I have to loop, then I have to push it. I need to loop through these three. If I do directly push of CMP, what will happen? Only the last one, whatever is there, it gets displayed. Only the last one, whatever is there, either last one or the first one, or it might not display because it is getting confused there. But so what we have to do, if I have a single component, I can do the directly push here, but this is containing the object or a array or list of the lightning component elements. So that means I need to first count how many are there here. So I want system to count how many are there. So loop through the each one of them. So this is one and this is another one. And this is another one. So first it need to capture the first one. This is the first one it should capture and push it to this B. And then second it should capture, second element it should capture. Then first as well as the second, both should be pushed here. I don't want to replace the first one. I wanted this B variable should hold the first one, second one. And the next one we have a third lightning element. So that means when I do the push, it should contain the one comma, first element comma, second element comma, third element. So three elements should be pushed to this variable. Then only I can see all the lightning elements within whenever I do the application, whenever I run the application, I can view all of this on clicking on button. Otherwise, I cannot see all of this. So whatever the CMP I do it, maybe it get null or maybe it will show only the last one, right? It does not come properly. It does not show me the proper information. It might not work also. So for this, what I need to do, I need to loop. So loop in a sense in JavaScript, in Apex, how do we loop it? In Apex, we have what is the command that we have in the Apex?
For loop.
For loop is there. So in the for loop, I need to mention what is the variable and from where it is starting. And then we have a condition. What is the condition here? And then we have a increment or a decrement. So this is how we do the loop. Same thing in JavaScript also. Same thing in the JavaScript. In JavaScript, I need to loop through each one of them. So which one I need to loop here? I have a variable which is declared here, which contains the array. right? Here variable is already declared. So what I'll do is I'll use the same variable cmp dot. We have a similar for each. So it has for each. JavaScript has a for each. That means it's a loop. We are going into the loop. So within this, you have to mention the function and just take any name here. Just take any name. So what I am doing here, whatever this array is there, I'm looping through this array. For each, I have given some name here. You take a item or you take a ABC, whatever you want, you can take it here. So function, and within the for each, we have a function, and function has some parameter which is called ABC. So now what I can do is each item I can push it to the B. So first it will go, first one it will check in the CMP, it will take the first one. And we have given a name to that single one. So basically CMP contains an array. So this function ABC, what it does, it will take only one row. Right now we have a 3 rows here. Right now CMP has a 3 rows. As soon as I say for each, what will happen? For each one of them, that means I'm telling the system, go through the each one of them. When you are go through the each one of them, divide this 3 to first one and then second one and then another one here. So line by line it divide. So what are the first one is there? Go and give it to this function. So what are the ABC is there here? ABC contains the first record. Then it will push it to the inside of this component. And then whatever the command or a statement is written here, it will go through those all statement. This is the second one. Again, it will go back to the for each. So this is the third step. So when it goes to the third step, again, it will check function ABC. Is there a second record? Yes, there is a second record. Then go inside. Now again, it will go back to the for each. Again, it will check, is there a third record? Yes, there is a third record. Then again, go inside this. Once the statement execution is done, then it will go back to the for each again. Once the for each it executes, is there a fourth record? There is no fourth record. So come out of this loop. That is the fourth one. So in JavaScript, we use the CMP dot for each. Similar like in Apex, we have a for loop. In JavaScript also, we have something called for each. Within the for each, what we mention is function. And within this function, we will mention a variable. Is that clear?
Yes.
Okay. So right now, what I'm going to do is, I have an array here. I'll take this array. So CMP dot will take it for each. And within this, you cannot change the function name here. It has to be function. But within the function parameter, you take anything. So I'm going to take item here. And then we have to open up the loop. Now within the loop, I'll put b dot push. And I'm going to push the each item. Each item, I'm going to push it to the b variable. So once it is done, that means I'm closing the for each here. So this is done. Now what I can do is component dot set and v dot body, comma, I can take the b. Perfect. Any questions? Any questions? Is everybody understood this?
Yes, Swapna.
Okay, so let's go ahead and see this. Lightning application. Let's copy this. Let's go to our application. C colon. Control S. Let's click on a preview. Dynamic component, create a runtime component. So if I click on it, so what happened? It is going to show me a button as well as the employee name, employee number. Now, in case I want this dynamic button this side, I want the dynamic button this side, right? So usually the button should be.
Aura attribute actions.
Aura column set.
Sorry.
Aura column set, you have to use the buttons, that's right.
Aura colon set. Okay. So instead of aura colon set, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to apply the CSS style. For this, I'm going to show you how to apply the CSS style for button. Now we have implemented completely into the JavaScript. In the JavaScript, if I wanted to apply any CSS styling, for example, I wanted to apply here, button should be placed into the right side, but the right now button is showing in the left side. Now, how can I apply the styling to the, whenever we implement a component, how can we apply that? So let's go ahead and see that. Okay, so our component is here. In case if our component would have been here, we have written here class, and then we would have implemented a style. So style we would have implemented. So let's take a same thing. Let me go to the style. Now, if you remember correctly, when we will give the dot after this,
For child components.
for child component,
Subcomponent.
Inside component, inside another component is there, no, that time.
is it a parent component, child component? Which one?
It is a parent.
Child.
Parent
Child,
component.
no,
If it is a parent component, then we will give dot after
Dot.
this.
This.
But here in our case, is this a parent component? Basically, this v dot body, whatever the expression is there within the lightning card, it is a parent or child?
It is a child.
Child component. So we need to have a space.
Space dot.
So I'll take a BT1, and then in order to place that float colon right. So before placing this, I'll just cross check whether it is working or not. So inspect, this is the one. So float colon right. Yeah, it is working. Now I'm going to use that float colon right. Now I need to give this styling. I need to apply this styling to the lightning button. How can we apply?
Class or style? Style.
We have to use the class.
Class.
Now let's go ahead and see whether it is working or not. Refresh. Click on create component. Perfect, it is moved to the right. Now, if you observe, we have written entire code here, Lightning input. So what Salesforce did it? So if you inspect it, they have changed it to the, so this HTML tags, label lightning hyphen input underscore input class SLDS form element label. And this is the label name. And they have converted the, whatever the box is there, they created as a container. So actually how we defined it, we have defined just like a lightning colon input. But Salesforce taken that and they have converted into the HTML format and they are showing it. Similarly, this button also. If I click on inspect, so there is no difference between this button and this button. There is no difference from the UI point of view. You don't see any differences here. So this is the one which I hover, that is the one which we are displaying from the HTML component. Right, so from here, this component, we are displaying the create runtime component. So similarly, whatever we are implementing through the JavaScript, it's implemented same. So it used the lightning button, and then here it is passing everything here. Right? So there is, from the UI point of view, you cannot see any differences. Only developer can see the differences. Only developer can see the differences, but no other differences will be there. You cannot see any other differences. For example, in between this, employee name, employee number, in between these two, I wanted to add one more paragraph. We have a tag called HTML tag, right? So between these two, this is the div and lightning input is ending here. Then, okay, here I wanted to add something. So between these two, I wanted to add a paragraph text, which is HTML. So in case if you have a HTML tags that you wanted to include it in the dynamic component, that means during the runtime, you wanted to build a HTML tag. We know how to implement a lightning tags, aura tags, how to implement it, we know that. But in case if I have a paragraph tag, so similar like I have a paragraph here. So let's say here, paragraph. This is dynamic component. Okay, same thing I wanted to implement in the controller. So that means I need another one here, which is a shared group. This group should contain the paragraph, HTML paragraph. So how to use it? In case if you want to implement HTML tags, you need to first specify here that I am using the HTML. I'm using the HTML. So you need to specify here, if you are using the HTML tags, the first thing you need to specify is, I'm going to use the HTML tags. That is the type of component. That is type of component. So type of component will be aura colon HTML. Aura colon HTML. So whenever we say aura colon HTML as a type of component, then system is going to understand that this is a normal HTML tag. It's not a lightning tag. And then in the attribute, we need to specify which tag am I using it. paragraph. And what is the body? Body in a sense, what are the text that I wanted to print it? So what is the text that I wanted to print it? So let's say I wanted to print, this is the runtime component. That's it. Click on save. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to place between the two lightning input. So this is one lightning input. After that, I'm going to place it HTML. Perfect. So let's go ahead and see. Create runtime component. See here. This is runtime component. This is runtime components. So let's inspect. So how it is giving, it is converted it as a paragraph tag. It is converted as a paragraph tag. So this is starting paragraph. And if I click on a create runtime component, see same like whatever we are defining in the lightning component. If you compare these two, so this is also paragraph, right? 13:0. This is a dynamic component. There is another one runtime, right? So there is no difference here. You can see it is using the HTML component here, paragraph. HTML component, paragraph. Now, for the HTML component, if you wanted to apply a style for the HTML components, if you want to apply a style, so what we have to do here, you cannot use them. You can try using it. So let's try using it. So what I'll do is I'll create another one here. So this is, I'll say that HTML P, and let's say that text align center. I wanted to place the text in center. Okay. Also, let's mention the width. Let's take some number here, 320 pixel. Okay, now if I give the class, so this is HTML controller. Now this is the body. Class column. HTML. Okay, now let's go ahead and check that whether it is applying the class or not. So right click, inspect. So if you check this one, is there any class it is applying it? It's not applying the class, right? So class does not apply to the HTML. If you are implementing a HTML component, you have to use a style tag, right? You cannot apply here. Like if you say class equal to so here it is working fine. But in case for this, it is not working. Let's try one more time here. Okay, still it is not working. So the other way is, instead of using the class, what you can do is you have to use the style. You have to use the style. So basically, style colon, directly we have to write whatever this one we have mentioned here. Text align center width, you can directly specify here. Right? So does it work? If I write style like this, style colon, whatever the width, still it is not working. Because for the HTML tag, there is a mapping keyword called HTML attributes. HTML attributes. For the style, there is a keyword called HTML attributes. You have to use HTML attributes. And everything put it into the array. Now let's see. Perfect, it has moved. So HTML attributes is the mapping key. You have to specify HTML attributes. Then within that you need to specify the style, colon, text align, whatever you wanted to place it. For example, if you wanted to change the font size, you can change the font size also. If you want to increase the font, you can increase it. So everything you need to write it here. Clear? Any questions on the dynamic component? Multiple nested component. Okay. So let's go on. So that is a requirement that we have implemented. Question. What is nested lightning components?
Multiple components we have to use, like
How to implement the nested component?
aura, $A create
components.
components.
$A dot create components.
$A dot to create components.
Right. So when to use the $A dot create components?
When we supposed to create dynamically multiple components.
In multiple.
For multiple components, we have to use nested components.
Right. So this is the assignment. Click on a button 1, implement a lightning card, and within the lightning card, show a below text message. So basically, you need a button. Button should be there on the component. So when you click on this button, there is a lightning card should be created here. And on the lightning card, you need to display a text message. What is the text message that you have to display? Here it is. This is the new lightning card implemented dynamically. So this message has to be displayed within the card. Within the card, it has to be displayed. So far, whatever we have implemented a separate component. This is one component, this is another component, and this is another component. But here, what I'm saying is, first implement a component, and there is another text message here. This text message has to display within the card. That means there are two lightning cards are there. Two lightning components are there. One is a card and another one is a text message. And this text message has to be placed within this. How will you implement? How will you implement? This is a message. This is a text message. Let's take it. This one is a H1 maybe. H1 or a normal paragraph text. Okay, this one has to be displayed within the card.
I think it is we can't, because when we create a component will create, right? After that, the paragraph we created, right?
Right, that is the two things. That is one card, one lightning card. One is a lightning card component, another one is a text component. You are building two separately. But when you are pushing to the body assignment, what are the body expression is there? If you are pushing to the body expression, how you have to push it? You need to push this text message within this, the first one. Within the first one. You have to push within the first one. How can you do it?
Can we use if condition?
If condition, okay. So let's go ahead and implement that. So let's see. Let's go ahead and create a new lightning component. Lightning component. Create components one. Now, I'll just take a, I'll not take a, okay, let me take the button also. So lightning colon button. And let's take variant equal to neutral. Now let's take label equal to create dynamic components and on click. C dot handle dynamic components. So then we have expression v dot body. Now let's go to the controller. This is our function name. And in the function name, what we need $a dot. Which one we have to use it? Component or components?
Components.
Components. Within this component, we have a parent bracket. And within this parent, we needed to
Lightning card.
two
Paragraph.
components we needed. Okay. So first one is a lightning card. Within the lightning card, what are the attributes?
Type.
Title equal to dynamic component, runtime component, That's it, lightning card. This is I'm done with the card. Now I need a text message. So text message, how you are going to display it? So in order to display the text message, if you want the HTML, you can use the HTML tag, the one which we have discussed right now. Right, so aura colon, I'm just taking this. Perfect. Yes, I do not need. Okay, so two are done. Then finally we have a function. So in the function, let's take a CMP, comma, status, comma, error message. Now, whenever you are doing the dynamic component, whenever you are implementing the dynamic component, till this point is game is same. Till this point, whatever you need to implement, everything is same. The game that changes only here. Whatever you wanted to do, only the change will be within the function. How to show your component in the UI, only this is the one which is going to decide it. This is just a tag creation, lightning tags creation. But how to display on the UI, everything is handled by function. Now here within the function, whenever you are pushing it, you need to think. Now whether we displaying the another component inside other component. So if it is a success, now first what I'll do is I'll take, we have two components here. This is containing the array. We have two lightning tags here. So that means CMP is containing the two tags, right? So this is the array. So the first one is, this time what I'll do is I'll take a 0. Its array always starts with a 0 index. Then second one, we have a second, right? So this is how we will display. Now the first one is a component 0, which is a lightning card. Second one is a some paragraph. Now I wanted to display the paragraph within the lightning card. Within the lightning card, I wanted to display. Now if I use here for each, what will happen? Whatever I have shown previously, if I use for each. So if it is a success, so I'm taking the for each here. Now what will happen? Let's go ahead and see. This is components 1. So I'll comment out this, and the name is components 1. So if I refresh this, so first it is displaying the create dynamic component. If I click on it, what is happening? Component is lightning card is displaying here, and then the text is displaying below. The text is displaying below. So let me change the name of this. So this is runtime title. Let's say this is text message. Which is created dynamically. Refresh. Click on. Now what is happening? everything is, it is saying that this is a runtime. The card is just this one. So that means my components, whatever the lightning tags are there, these lightning tags are displaying one by one. But I do not want to display one by one. Within this lightning card, we have to place it. So whenever we are implementing a card, right, first we will write the card. And within this card, we will place a button. Similarly, I want a text to be displayed within the card. In that case, what I'll do is, instead of using this for each is not working. For each is going to take every component as a separate component. Now this is not working here. Now instead of for each, what I'll do is, I'll take each one of them. CMP 0, 0th index, CMP first index. And I'll store them separately. So this is my card. This is my card, which is CMP 0. And this is text, where my text equal to CMP 1. Now what I want is, this CMP 1 should go within this card. CMP 1 should go within this card. So what I'll do is, I'll take this, my card, and dot set v dot body, comma, whatever the my text is there. Whatever my text is there. Now my text is within this card. Now my text is within this card. Now finally what I'll do, we have a body, right? So whatever the body is there, we have not taken the body. Okay, so finally, whatever the body is there, what I'll do, this my card, whatever my card is there, finally I'll set my card here. Now let's go ahead and see. Create dynamic component. Something went wrong. So my card equal to CMP. CMP 1. My text. Case insensitive. Case sensitive. JavaScript is, even if it is small, capital, also it will matter. Right? So the issue was, I have written here small t. So it's a case sensitive. Now everything is displaying within this. Now if you want a separate icon here, before this text message, I want an icon. You can implement a lightning icon. And you can place the lightning icon within this. You can place the lightning icon within that. So you need to deal these kind of things whenever you are doing in the real time. This is how the tricky things are going to come up. Now, in case if you have two here, right? In case if you have it, one is your text, and assume that there is another one which you have, like a icon is there. This is my icon. Two. So if you have these two, so what you need to do, first build an array here. Let's say where my array equal to, I'm building the array. Now, this is array, empty array, this is. This is empty array. Now I'm getting the each value. Then finally what I'm doing is within this array, I'm going to push this component 1 and component 2. Component 1, component 2, both I'm going to push it. So once I have pushed it, so what I'll do is, we have a my card, right? Within the my card, I'm going to place, instead of a text, I'm going to place this my array. Instead of a text, because this array is containing 2 components, which I wanted to place it into the my card. So first I am building the array and pushing the values to the array. Then finally this array, I'm pushing it to the my card. And this my card, I'm pushing it to the final output. So first step is, this is the first step. First, I'm capturing the card. Second step is, I'm going to create an empty array because I wanted to place more than 1 component within the card. I'm going to create an array. And then the third one is, I'm going to push all my rest of the cards into that array. And then I'll take this array I'm going to push it to the my card. This array, I'm going to push it to the my card. Then finally, whatever this my card is containing, this my card will go to the final output, which is a component.set. This is the 5th step. Is that clear? Okay. So if you have a multiple components, if you wanted to place it into the card, you have to use first you need to create an array and then push all your components inside the array. And that array, you need to place it onto the Lightning card, and the complete package, finally you have to push it to the body. And the second assignment is, there is a button 1. On clicking on this button 1, implement a Lightning card. With the Lightning, within the Lightning card, show the icon. There is a separate icon here, not the Lightning card icon. We are displaying the separate icon here. And then beside that, there is a button. So that means on the card, it should have a Lightning card title, and then there is a separate icon and separate button. Fine. Any questions on the assignment? Okay, so let's move on. So the next one which we are going to do is talk about destroy component. So right now what we are doing it, so whenever we are creating the runtime, so for example, here I'm creating the runtime, I'm creating this, right? So I wanted to destroy. Let me take the previous one. So application. So in previous one, we are creating a 3 here, right? One is the button and then employee name, employee number. Now, this is during the runtime we are creating it. Once it is created, once the work is done by the dynamic button, I wanted to destroy this button, or I wanted to destroy this employee name, or basically I wanted to destroy whatever during the runtime it is created, I wanted to destroy. That means I wanted to delete this. I wanted to delete all these fields completely. I wanted to delete all these things. As soon as my work is done, I have entered the employee name, employee number, clicked on a dynamic button, the data is captured. As soon as I click on a dynamic button, there should be another button, which is a destroy button. And when I click on a destroy button, whatever I see here, this one, which is created during the runtime, this button, this every component, whatever we have seen, this component which is created during the runtime has to be destroyed, has to be destroyed. That means I do not need these components anymore. Whatever the work is there, the work is completed. Now, moving further, I do not need this component. I wanted to destroy these components from the page. So how we will do it? We have a concept called destroy component. So after a component that is declared in a markup, no longer in use. That means I do not need those components anymore. That then we won't automatically destroy. So when we destroy it, what will happen? It will free up the space, free up the memory. So right now, if I'm deleting or if I'm destroying those components, so what is going to happen? So whatever these components are occupying the memory, it will free up the memory. So that whatever the next components are there, it will occupy that memory. So the basic use of the destroy is in case if you wanted to free up some memory, once you are done with the work, then better use the destroy component once you capture the data. And the next one is if you create a component dynamically in JavaScript and later the component is not needed, we can destroy the component. How we can do it? By using the component.destroy, by using the syntax called component.destroy. This is to avoid memory leaks. So let's go ahead and see one of them. Now let's assume that this is the component is created during the JavaScript. Now what I want is, I wanted to destroy this component. I wanted to destroy this component. I do not want to use this. So how I'm going to use it? For that, you need to use a destroy method. So let's go ahead and use the same one. So I'm going with the existing component because there is only one line of code which we have to write it in order to do the destroy. We just need to write only one line of code. Now here, now this is a dynamic button. Now let me create another button here. So let's say that destroy. Destroy components. I'm calling the destroy. Okay, so I'll go to the controller. In the controller, I'll implement another method. So we need a function, component event helper, and within this. Now what I wanted to do, I wanted to destroy this. I wanted to destroy this. Now these components are created on fly. These components are created during the runtime. Now how my method is going to identify which lightning button or which lightning component do I need to delete it. So for that, we need to use attribute called Aura ID. we need to use attribute called aura ID. So aura colon ID colon, let's say that I'm giving here btn1. Perfect. So what I'll do is, now I have a variable which I can identify which button I can delete it, which button I can destroy it. So how can we find the aura ID? What is the method to find the aura ID?
Component dot find.
Sorry,
Component.
Component dot find.
component dot find. We have to use component dot find. Within that, we have to mention the aura.
Dot get.
No, we do not need aura, because get means if I wanted to know the value, then I need a get. But right now I'm not interested about the get or set, because I wanted to delete this completely. I wanted to delete that completely. So I'm just going to show one example here. So in order to destroy it, you need to use this, whatever the component is there, which is a dot, you have to use destroy. That's it. So let's click on this button. Now I'm clicking on the create runtime. So it is created. Now I'm clicking on the destroy component. It is deleting the button. It is deleting the button. Again, I'm going to show you. So we have a create runtime component, which is created 3 components. If I click on a destroy, it is going to delete that button. Now, in case if you want this button to be visible only when I click on that particular button. So you can implement similarly when you click on this button, right? When you click on the dynamic button, you have to write a on click. On click of that, display the destroy button. And when you click on a destroy button, then show this, right? That is also we can do it. So that is the assignment. Assignment is just show only create runtime component button. When you click on a create component button, show the dynamic button, employee name, employee number. As soon as we click on a dynamic button, then it should show the destroy component. It should show the destroy component. And when we click on a destroy component, it should delete this button. So implement lightning button, lightning dynamic component. So on component, display a button. Name is create dynamic component. On click of this component, on click of this button, a bow button, display new button, input 1, input 2. That's it. Now on click of new button, display destroy button, on click of destroy button. Destroy new button. Right? This is the assignment. So we just use how can we destroy it? What is the syntax for destroying it?
Need to find that component and then
Component dot find
comment dot
Component dot find.
and store this into one variable,
variable
and then
a dot destroy.
you have to just use the a dot destroy method. That's it. Perfect. Any question? So another assignment. Click on the button 1, implement a lightning card. Within the lightning card, show following 2 text messages. And then implement a destroy button also. And when you click on a destroy button, it should delete the second message. Only the second message should be deleted. So that means on the component, you have a 2 buttons. On the component, you have a 2 buttons. One is a button 1. And the second one is a destroy button. Destroy button. When you click on this button, show 2 messages. When you click on a destroy button, the last message should be deleted. Questions? How to remove the component during runtime?
Destroy method.
We need to use the command method destroy. What will happen after destroy of component?
Entire weight will be removed.
Yes. So that if we remove, what will happen?
Entire application.
Yes, yes.
Free up the memory.
It will free up the memory. So the final conclusion, what did we learn? So how to create a nested lightning component or a multiple component, and how to destroy a component. These are the 2 things which we have learned today. Now quickly, yesterday I have given an assignment. The assignment is using the 4th column record data, at least get the 5 records. And then these records push it into the array. Push into the array. Then loop through this. That means aura iteration. In the HTML, in the lightning component, use the aura iteration and display all 5 records like this. Is anybody done this? Anybody tried it? I'm not asking to pull the complete full account records, at least 5 account records. Did anybody tried it? How about others? Okay, I'll give a hint. Seems like nobody has tried it. So I'll give a hint. So what you have to do is you have to use force colon record data multiple times. That means you need to use the force colon record data at least 5 times. And each one will have a new record ID. Get that record ID. Based on the record ID, get the first name or whatever the account name is there. And once you have done, and on the component level, create a button. Some button created. So when I click on this button, what should happen is these all the record IDs, whatever the 5 record IDs are there, these all record IDs data should be pushed to the array. So when I click on that button, it should push to the array. So that means array should have a first record, second record. Five records. Then finally pass this aura array to the aura iteration. So in the component level, you need to have a one button, and then 5 times you have to use the force colon record ID. Force colon record data. You can go ahead with the hard coding also. That should be fine. Record ID hard coding it. So basically what we are doing it, we are trying to implement array because we have not done the apex yet, how to call the apex from the Lightning component. That's the reason we are using this force record data multiple times in order to capture the account name. And that account name I'm storing into array. Clear? Okay. So that's all for today. I'll paste this trial head links.